Well, Brandon, so if I'm supposed to love God and I have to trust him, how do I trust him because I don't really know what he hasn't planned for me? Like, what is God's will? And sometimes I'll get asked that question. What's God's plan for my life? Like, what's his will for my life? Now, I can't answer that. Don't ask me that question. I can't answer that. But I've asked that question myself. And you know what? When I was in my early 20s, I had a really wise professor. I was a student of his. He's an old professor, had been walking with God for decades. This is what he said to me. He said, Brandon, it's like you don't ever have to go looking for God's will. It's like, here's what you do. Every day, you stay in God's will the best you can. You do what you think you're supposed to do that day, and you live for him that day, and you stay on the path. And if you stay on the path of God's will every single day, then you're not going to get lost, and you don't have to go out there looking for it like it's out there somewhere, like it's hidden from you. Just do what you're supposed to do that day, and do the next best thing, the next thing that you're supposed to do that next, and God will show you the big picture in the right time. You know, I've often told people, God's not trying to trick you. He's not trying to trick you. I believe that if you're living your life for him and trying to follow him, he's going to guide you. I mean, but you know, he doesn't show for good reason the whole picture at once, right? Because we'd mess it up. You know, I'm really glad that God did not show me my current life now when I was in my early 20s. You know, I probably would have rushed out and tried to, do it earlier. I'll start a church. That sounds great, God. I'll go do it now. And he's like, you're 23. Bad idea. You're going to be a messed up church, man. It's like, you wait till you're 33, right? I mean, you wait further down the road. You know, God gives us like a need-to-know basis. He gives us what we need to know so that we do next what he has planned for us. And he doesn't give us the whole picture. We'd probably skip through, it's like a movie, we'd probably skip through those difficult scenes. It's like, I don't want to, that one just kind of looks like a tough season of life. God, I'm just going to jump past that one. I'm going to jump to the next thing. And what we don't know is God's shaping character in us so that we can carry what he has for us next. We prepare now for next. And we don't like the preparation process. We just want next. And so God says, I'm not going to give you the whole picture. I'm going to give you what you need to know now so you can follow me and honor me in this moment, in this day. All right, I gotta admit something to you guys that, as a grown man, it's hard to admit. I like to play with Legos. Anybody here with me on that? Like when you were a kid, you like to play with Legos. Some of you can say like you still like to play with Legos. Well, I had to take a season off, many years of playing Legos. I did it when I was a kid. But, when you grow up, you got to kind of lay down some things, So I laid it down for a little while. But now my boys are old enough, 7 and 5. And that's one of their favorite toys is Legos. So now I get to take one for the team. So it's tragedy. I'm sorry I have to do this. I have to play Legos again. And so we sit around a long time. They just building Legos every once in a while. That's how we spend some time together. And I like to do a lot of other stuff too. But, man, that's fun when we get to hang out and talk and build Legos. That's a cool time. And there was a moment where Jennifer had this great idea. So it would be really cool if we get like a table for them because the Legos are all over the floor all the time. It's such a mess, It'd be cool if we had like a little table. And she came across an idea that you could take one of these old train tables, those little train tables they have, right, and you can convert it to a Lego table. You get some of those Lego base plates and you glue them on the top and you just got a nice little table. And she's like, that's a cool idea. Well, we didn't have a train table and we didn't want to go out and spend any money for something like that. So she's like, well, I'm going to pray about it. I'm like, that's cool. It's like, God's going to care about a Lego table. It's like, a great man of faith. It's like, so she's like praying about this, like specifically, that God just help us out, and it's not a need, but it'd be really cool. The kids would really enjoy that. So she prayed specifically about that thing, right? And so it was a few weeks later, no kidding, she had not said a word to anybody except me about that. That idea, didn't even share that idea with anybody. And she's talking with her mom on the phone, and her mom's like, hey, by the way, Jen, some woman or something in our church or a friend at school or something, she's like, hey, they have like an old train table. Would you guys want a train table for your kids? And she's like, Mom, are you kidding me? I actually was praying about that specific thing. I'm like, nah. It's like, that's when you go back and rewrite your prayer list. I'm going to ask some different stuff on this. It's like, man, that was so cool. But anyway, so we spent a lot of hours now around that Lego table, playing Legos with the kids and having some time with them. And the grandparents from time to time have got them, Lego boxes for Christmas or whatever it is. And every time you get like a Lego box or package, you get a couple things inside. One is you get this. You get a bag of Legos that comes out of the box. You get one bag, 3 bags, big bag, small bag, whatever it is. But there's always some bag of Legos that they throw in there. And you take the bag out, and usually you open it up, spread them out on the table. You know how this is. You maybe done this before. And you take a look at that picture on the front of the box. And you're like, well, I know all the pieces are here. I can do this, right? And have you ever tried that? Try to put it together with your own imagination and intuition? That never goes good, right? Because you get to the end, and it doesn't look like what's on the box at all. You're like, man, they must have given the wrong pieces. Then you got all these extra pieces, right? I mean, how many of you, every time you assemble something, you always have lots of extra pieces? I look around, those are the people that don't know how to follow directions. I'm just kidding. That's me. So, it's like you have all the pieces you need. You have the vision for it. But when we try to do it without the directions, it never works out, does it? So that's why, thankfully, the people in Lego Land, Lego World, wherever they are, somewhere out there, they provide for us the directions. And you pull the directions out of the box, and you have all the pieces there in front of you, and it's pretty easy. They have step one. You take this one Lego piece, and you connect it to these 3 Lego pieces. You do that, and you're going to get this, and then you turn the page. Okay, I can do that. You do that. And then you turn the page, and on page 2, you take those 3 pieces that you put together, you connect them to those next few pieces, and there starts to be something. You don't know what it is yet, but it's coming together. So just do it and turn the page. Okay, I can do that. So then the next page, you take a few more pieces, you connect them together, and then you turn the page. And then on page 5, you take that thing that you've made and you attach it to this other little thing that you've been making, and you put those together and you have something. And then on page 7, you add a few more pieces, and you just keep turning the page. You add a few pieces, you do what you're supposed to do, you turn the page. You add a few pieces, you do what you need to do at that moment, you turn the page. And then you turn the page, and you turn the page, and eventually, if you follow the directions correctly, what you're creating in the end looks very much like what you see on the box. That vision for what it was supposed to be comes together in the end. And it's amazing. And it looks so much better than what you would create by yourself. God's so kind to us that he doesn't abandon us in life to try to figure it out on our own emotions and our own opinions or what we read on the internet. He says, I'm going to help you out. I'm going to give you my word. I'm going to give you the Bible. And I'm going to help give you wisdom in life on how to do life and how to walk through it. And here's what you do. You wake up every day. You say, God, what do you want from me today? And you try to line up your life as best you can with what he wants that day. Put this piece with this piece, and then you turn the page. And you wake up the next day and you do it over again. Say, God, what do you want from me today? And you take and you put together one set of instructions and one piece after another, and you follow God in that day, and then you turn the page to another day. And then you get to the next day and you say, God, what do you want me to do today? And then you do that. And you line up your life with whatever it is he's calling you to do. And then the next day, God says, well, I want you to change this. I want you to throw that down. You say, okay, God, I can do that. And you go to the next day. And you turn the page. And then God says, well, I want you to pick this up. I want you to go in this new direction. Okay, God, I'll do that. And you turn the page. And then you go to the next day and you turn the page. And you know what? You find yourself in the center of God's will after doing that day after day over time. And not that you don't ever make mistakes, but you see it coming together. And in the end, after you follow God day after day and year after year, you look back on your life and you see something coming together. And you don't see the whole picture, not yet, but you get to see that God is at work. And God's constructing something of beauty in your life that far surpasses what you would have constructed on your own. And it looks so good because it's so much better and healthier and stronger. And someone outside of the time that we live in understands where you need to go and when you need to get there and how the pieces need to work together. And so we just have a simple job. We trust God. We give him the keys. And we say, God, I want you to drive my life. I've been driving it. Man, I went down some wrong streets. I went down some dead-end streets and some cul-de-sacs. I wasted a lot of time. But God, today, what I can do today is I can give you the keys. I can follow your directions. And day after day after day, God, I'm going to follow you. I'm going to live for you. I'm going to trust you. And I'm going to honor you so that in the end, I will live a life that you will say, well done, well done. And my hope is that as you leave here today, whatever you've been carrying, whatever fear has crippled you from following Jesus, that you will throw it down and you'll say, God, I trust you in a new way. I'm leaving it in your hands, and today I'm going to do everything I can to follow now, in this moment, what it is you call me to.